it's become a lot harder to kite him as the fight goes on, thanks to the fact that he gets that movement speed and the armor bonus on anyone he's actually targeting at the moment, as long as he gets in 3 attacks.
Yeah, and the farming utility that he gets from that is pretty ridiculous. With the change to it. So we do look at the lock stage finishing up right here. Got some fun stuff to talk about. Tempest the first lock, but followed up by Empath Magnus going into the Kraken Pyromancer, and then Deadwood, as you were talking about, to finish things off here, coming out from Mint. So I love seeing the Kraken, though. You know, we have seen Kraken, and we did see it once or twice in the Invitation, I believe, from Q Squad specifically. Running the Kraken from Style, so no doubt a hero with a lot of potential, especially after changes that happened. A fun lock pool there. I mean, definitely a different lock pool as well, so that's good to see.
A fun lock pool with a lot of strong support still available, though. I'm expecting to see Deadwood being definitely a high priority pick out of this lock pool on top of the Tempest. We'll have to see what direction they want to go, whether they're going for the Pyro carry, the Kraken side lane. We talked about it yesterday. The Kraken is also a hero that he was a little bit underrated before in my book, and now with those buffs, his laning presence has definitely increased. Something like ssQ did, playing him that safe lane, and then sort of going and wrecking with him. It seems to be a good route to go. They actually have to get Elder Parasite, make him more of a battle Kraken than anything.
Yeah, definitely. Even before this patch, I know there was a lot of talk. I know Trout specifically, you know, he liked to make mentions that he always thought Kraken was a powerful hero that was underrated to an extent. So, again, he's always been a favorite hero of mine too. I will say, once again, I would like to see the old Ultimate back. I know it's never coming back, but I just always like to keep bringing that up.
Please not. Can you not? Like,
it's just so cool.
Okay.
Anyways, banning stage moving along here. Parasite, Keeper of the Forest, Flint, Beastwood, and Plague Rod here to start things off. So, of course, one more ban on either side, but definitely moving along very nicely here. So, again, just a quick reminder, this is the round of 128 here for the DreamHack Summer Qualifiers, getting things kicked off finally for the Adapt and Conquer, as it's also titled here. Adapt and Conquer. Very, very fitting title, really.
For sure. A couple of things about this patch I wanted to point out is I feel like passive jungler, something like a passive Keeper of the Forest, if the enemy team gets a Tempest, I actually feel like it favors the Tempest so much more now.
Yeah.
Before, we always talked about how Tempest can get active a lot earlier, and now that just makes that much more of a difference. On top of the fact that you can get into the enemy woods, really slow down their jungle timing in general. The last thing you want is a passive jungler that's taking a much longer time to hit level 6 in the first place. So I do like what this patch has done. I do think we can see lineups totally without jungles where you have that aggressive setup that you really just focus on the pressure instead, which allows you to kind of go back and run some of those heroes that need a little bit more lane presence early on, which you might not have seen. Something like that Sandwraith, which I got to cast yesterday, which needs more laning support. They didn't have a jungler, but they had a bunch of heroes roaming around the map, supporting him, laning with him against the suicide. I feel like if you don't run a jungler, you have a lot more options in that case.
Yeah, and that's something we have seen a lot more of, the lack of junglers when it comes to the competitive scene. As again, as little examples of as we have, though, it's only been. It feels weird saying continue to say it, but it really only has been a week since the patch came out last Friday, of course. So it's still there's still plenty to be experienced. With that said, as far as strategies and whatnot. Oh my gosh!
Solstice Valkyrie picked up right away. I was going to say Rally is still on the board. You don't want to be leaving that one go. But Solstice is picked up here. You don't actually have to play him as a jungle. His jungle timing did get nerfed. It's still effective to do if you run him sort of in that aggressive tri-lane or even defensive tri-lane where he's kind of being a part of it, but he's also getting additional experience from the jungle.
Yeah.
Or you can play him as more of a point hero in a lane as well. You don't necessarily have to jungle him. He has a decent skill set when it comes to the laning phase. So we'll have to see how they make him work. There were a lot of nerfs that went his way, though, and at least in the matchmaking games, you've seen him picked up a lot less. A lot of people feel like he completely got over-nerfed in that regard.
Yeah.
Ophelia being picked up, a Rally would honestly go phenomenal here. Pairs up well with an Engineer, pairs up well with the defensive capabilities of an Ophelia, keeps his team safe while pushing. I honestly, unless they're going for one of the newer picks or surprise different pick or just have a different cell like to run as a team, I would say Rally is a really high priority here.
Yeah. It does seem like that is a go-to pick here for the lineup that they're already putting together, but again, I wouldn't be against seeing something different.
Oh, no, for sure. I'm all for seeing different heroes. I just mean, if you were...
Okay.
See, now that I'm not for.
Yeah.
At all. Because I don't think Hammerstorm's the most fun hero to watch in the first place. If I had to pick a hero that wasn't Rally for this matchup, I mean, Hammerstorm's okay, but Rally can do what he does and just do it better. He can be left alone better in lane, provides a lot more burst, provides that physical burst anyway. Hammerstorm has more sustained damage. I understand the strong lane presence that comes out of a Hammerstorm NG lane, but I do like the synergy overall that a Rally can provide that much more. So if they weren't going to pick up the Rally there, I kind of want to see something a little bit crazier, something a little bit more fun. So a little bit sad on that regard. Meanwhile, on this other side, on mid side, the Solstice Valkyrie just
they're having some fun.
Valkyrie's arrow, it was buffed back up quite a bit. Her laning presence has increased a bit. She was a very popular hero on the scene before she took that nerf. So
Moon Queen on top of that to finish things off. Very interesting selection of heroes right there. Solstice, Valkyrie, Moon Queen. Obviously, the big thing that stands out to me is that no support just yet. Now, there are some solid support options there. Empath and the Pyromancer even in that lock pool, so I'm sure either one of those two are going to be picked up. But yeah, you were mentioning with the Solstice, he did get nerfed, especially in his jungle presence, so possibly even seeing him in a laning setup. But again, we'll ultimately have to see how the lineup really shapes up and, well, what We So Fresh, a.k.a. Mint, decides to do. Tempest is going to be the first pick out of that lock pool to get things kicked off. Empath Magnus, a fairly quick response from Mint. And now the final pick going to be coming out here for Supreme Squad. So
What this means with us is that we're probably actually going to see a return of the Mag Valk lane here. Mag Valkyrie, that was a nice way to have sort of that secondary support Magnus where he wasn't forced to buy all the wards, but he'd help out a little bit early on, sort of support the Mag in lane, and both those heroes would evolve to become pretty strong presences in a team. It's a little bit less of a liability than when you have a hard support supporting one of your carry heroes, and that's what was always very cool about the Mag Valk lane in the first place. So seeing a bit of a return there. Kraken being picked up on the other side there, the Kraken Engineer combo, tons of very powerful AoE teamfight presence on top of the Tempest. If they can make things work, you can see the presence there.
Yeah, if I had to pick a side, I mean, in terms of a lineup that just looks a little cleaner, it definitely would be the Legion side perhaps, but I'm excited to see how this comes together. You're right. The Valkyrie Magnus possibility in terms of being a lane here, that is a fun lane. Consider one of the strongest lanes ever in Han's history when you go back to the very beginning even. I mean, definitely a lane with a lot of history in general. So looking forward to seeing how Mint runs that.
It's a lane that's very, very difficult to kill. You can run into problems when you have, say they try to initiate on your support hero in the lane, the tank will actually go up and catch Valkyrie's arrow, and then they try to counter-initiate, but in general they both have escape mechanisms. Magnus between his stun and his steam bath, Valkyrie with her leap and just long-range attrition in general. Pretty difficult to take down, so looks like they are going to, I'm checking here, they actually have a Mag and an Empath running bottom right now. Valkyrie has not really made her rotation yet.
Yeah, Mag does go the hatchet, so.
Yeah, I expect them to move as a group to the enemy woods at the start. Not sure why Valkyrie's still in base here. Hopefully she gets moving in a sec here. Might just be getting a drink of water or something. It does look like she's immediately going to the safe lane though, so not really going to roam with her team at level 1, maybe getting a late start, just wants to get up to that lane. Solstice is playing in the wood, so a Mag, Empath lane. No, this is not how, there's no way they're actually shaping it up like this. They cannot be sending this Moon Queen to the off lane alone. That would be very, very dicey.
I think they are. I mean,
if they were doing that, if they were doing that, you'd have to expect them to just try to crush the rest of the map and buy room for her to farm later.
I mean, Empath is kind of going. It makes sense that it would make sense to have Empath eventually to the bottom lane, but we'll see. And if anything, it might just be a very quick adjustment if that wasn't planned from the beginning. But
they wouldn't.
I think they might, Emperor. Remember who we're. I mean, these aren't. This isn't Stay Green and Complexity.
No, but these guys have an idea. They know.
Yeah. I'm sure. Of course, they watch matches and a little bit of experience, but.
So Empath is making that rotation. No worries there. They were sorting something out in mid, and down she goes. Yeah, leaving that Moon Queen alone versus a Hammerstorm NG lane. Even in general, this Empath can't do much to save a Moon Queen if they choose to initiate on her. Yeah, sure, the wall is great, but with the Ophelia down there for additional support and her early harass coming out already, they've got to be real careful.
It's really interesting because if anything, I've kind of wondered a little bit. I mean, I understand in the end, or understood, I guess, but Valkyrie's suicide lane potential seems pretty damn strong, honestly, with her range, with the leap to get away. But
it's okay. She doesn't have the highest last hit. She has good animation. Her leap cooldown though is very high. It's very easier to pressure with a lot of those strong solos to use it. So that's a lot of part. And also on top of the fact that people just felt like she didn't offer enough to a team compared to other options. So.
Well, if anything, though, it seems like that might have still made more sense here in the end. But it's going to be a difficult situation here for Moon Queen, no doubt. And I'm kind of curious to see how things work here for base playing this Moon Queen in the end. But definitely a difficult lane setup.
I definitely agree. In this case, I would have actually thrown something either. I mean, you could have always done that solo mag top as well, done the mag Valk bottom, have the Moon Queen. Like, you had options, but either way, Suicide Magnus, man, that works fine. You can always do that. You can catch up a little bit later on. You know, Valkyrie would be just fine here against the Kraken in mid. You can. Either way, I would have given Moon Queen that safe lane, because right now her disadvantage she took was part of her laning presence, the increased mana cost on her Moonbeam. On top of the less stun, it just makes her laning presence that much worse. When you're going up against a Hammerstorm NG lane, totally fearsome. It's not what you want. So giving her that early snowball would have definitely complemented, I guess, the nerfs that were done to her much better than how they chose to lane her in the end.
Jeez, Solstice living life on the edge here in the jungle. Meanwhile, the bottom lane, Moon Queen in a lot of trouble. Moon Queen's going to get bloodlusted right here. Go figure, Ophelia comes in with the Skeleton King and sets up a fairly easy kill on a Moon Queen. It's what we kind of expected. Magnus, in the meantime, in the middle lane, nearly dying as well, but barely staying alive to the Kraken here, being played by Tushi Manushi. So, but it is a bloodlust kill in the end for the Legion team, for Supreme Squad. Again, it was kind of expected against that Moon Queen. So
yeah, I just don't understand, because Moon Queen's snowball farm really does rely on her early start going well, getting that Whispering Helm up, getting those Steam Boots up, and just being able to take over the woods, the Ancients, jungle, what have you. It's a huge risk to send her down there, man. You're seeing the results early game already. 900 gold lead, 700 experience, and the momentum should build from here. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, while that gank was going on, we saw Magnus. He actually got charged back into the tower from the Kraken. Gush was applied. He got down to about maybe 20 health, 30 health, definitely one hit away. Kraken was not able to land it. He was forced to send out regen. Has his bottle here now, so should be able to hold in there. But yeah, Kraken taking early control of the lane. Yeah,
it seems like this is definitely another tough matchup, honestly. I mean, Kraken is very powerful against other melee heroes, especially in that 1v1 presence, specifically with that splash.
He is, but so is Magnus, actually, using
that
volcanic touch. So they both do pretty well against each other.
That one takes a little more time to get impactful, though, I would think, than the splash at level 1. But at the same time, yeah, it's definitely, it can be back and forth here, right, I guess, with the lasting potential and the harass potential. But Souls, I mean, going back to him, as I mentioned earlier, again, he's kind of living life on the edge here, but with that third ability, the Solar Slash. Again, this is the first time I get to see him here, and the first making his debut here in Honcast as a competitive Hon, of course, coming out for tournament rules in the patch, and a lot of people kind of looking forward to that as well. He is jungling, sure enough. You know, you're kind of curious about that, whether or not we're going to see him jungle. Middle lane once again, Kraken going to charge Magnus back with the Invis Rune, but Lyle G1 does Lava Surge away in time, but seems like Solstice, though, you know, is about 225 gold per minute currently. Having a decent start here. Interested to see how he builds when it comes to the Solstice build plan in that jungle.
Yeah, he hasn't actually picked up anything yet. My least favorite build would be the Alchemist Bones. Looks like right here. Trying to take a look through the window.
Boots.
He bought something before. That's actually not.
Oh, those aren't his. Yeah.
He bought something. I didn't catch what it was in base, so I'm gonna have a little bit of insight there in a second. I thought he might be ferrying out some sort of regen. Looks like it was just boots and a couple health potions, so trying to keep up here. The other thing I feel about that Moon Queen empath is with the Solstice ganking, imagine how easy it would be for them to kill the Tempest over and over again. So not only would they be providing Moon Queen with tons of snowball farm, they also would have been shutting down this Tempest really, really hard.
It really should. I mean, you got to think about those lanes, man. And you know, if maybe they expected a different setup for some reason from the Legion team initially, but if that's the case, as soon as you see what's going on, you know, make the adjustment. I think that's something that no doubt comes with experience over time for a lot of these teams, but you just got to be willing to make that adjustment because it will pay off in the end. Because I mean, you just see it impacting right now. Base playing this Moon Queen, he is struggling to be 100 gold per minute. He's barely level 3. He's right now farming some creeps out. It's good news for him currently, but do not expect Moon Queen to have any kind of impact early on in this game, no doubt. It's definitely going to rely on this Valkyrie, Magnus, and Solstice here to kind of the trio of those heroes to definitely start moving around. And right as I said, that double stun, actually, they did not stagger them. That could be the difference maker. Kraken, the release, the Kraken, Magnus will fall, and Kraken going to turn around onto Magnus, and as well as Solstice, it looks like one more auto attack. The charge goes in, the auto attack, and down goes Solstice. A double tap for Tushi Manushi there.
I feel like they're just not communicating. Magnus had his eruption. The fact that they went in together, I think they should have let Magnus lead stun first, and Solstice should have timed his stun afterwards, because Magnus, with that eruption, he would stun in, activate his ultimate, and from there on out, the follow-up stun from the Solstice would allow him to get it off. Pretty much be a guaranteed kill here on the Kraken. Just Oh, that is a lot of suffer coming out for missing that play. They're not communicating. They're not communicating with each other.
Yeah, that clear of that. I mean, the stuns literally hit at the same time.
I feel like you pick
right there.
Solstice as a jungler to apply that aggression. If you're not setting up your lanes as such to allow for those earlier ganks, I feel like you're utilizing Solstice wrong in that jungle position.
Yeah. Kraken is kind of roaming here towards the observatory of the Hellborn side. He's going to pick up a health potion, actually, and regen up a bit. He also does have a haste rune currently bottled up, and it looks like he's aiming towards that bottom lane right now. Moon Queen and Empath might be in a little bit of trouble right here. You do got Hammerstorm, Full Life, and Mana, as well as Engineer. Yeah, Kraken's definitely coming over. Here goes the haste rune. Moon Queen and Empath both in a lot of trouble. Hammerstorm diving. Moon Queen's going to be the target of choice. The Kex on top. Everything going to be used as torrents and everything else, and down falls Moon Queen. Empath just could sit there with her head, you know, in her hands, basically. I mean, nothing more that Empath could have done there.
Yeah, clean kill there, and Hammerstorm's back to farming. Kraken with this huge lead already. They need to make something happen, man, but they can't at this point. Everyone's getting way too beefy. Again, that early strong start here on the Legion team. They don't really... I don't know. I just don't see them as being able to make a huge impact. They have those big AoE ultis. They have that huge teamfight presence. Engineer's almost got his ulti on top of everything.
Yeah.
Ophelia not leveling the fastest here, but level 6 soon, and I already see the snowball starting. It's very clear to see, and we talked about the teamfight presence. You talked about how you liked how the Legion side was put together a little bit more. We mentioned that the Hellborn side did have some presence, especially with the farm to Moon Queen being notorious or just being able to completely take over a game, but at this point, they need to make something happen. They can't keep sitting in their lanes, because as the lanes are set up, it was at a disadvantage from the start. So remaining static here, not making any adaptations is wrong. Maybe Valkyrie can roam, maybe you can set up some big arrows, set up some ganks somewhere, but they cannot keep it like this.
Well, let's take a look back at Solstice. So you're kind of talking about it is nighttime now, by the way. So, of course, he is in his night version here, the Crescent Strike, as it's called, and the Shadow Dashes. Quickly going over the abilities there. But, well, actually, hold that thought for a second. Invisible Kraken coming up right here. Solstice setting up a flank, though, on a Tempest. Going to try to go on a Tempest first, but Kraken is nearby. This could be an interesting fight up here. There's the go on a Tempest right there. Arrow is not going to come out just yet. The Tempest ultimate going to pull out the release. The Kraken on top of that. And Valkyrie and Solstice, all of a sudden the ones in trouble. The Solstice ultimate going off very quickly right there. Minimal damage, does do the fear effect, gets the kill to Tempest, but Valkyrie falls shortly after. A 2-for-1 exchange right there in favor of the Legion team yet again.
Yeah, this is strange, man. I mean, the Solstice just kind of waited there, walked into close range, and then chose to charge. Part of the advantage of that dash, the Shadow Dash at nighttime, is that only to cut through trees for you, phasing through obstacles, really. And then on top of that, it makes you invisible as you charge at them. So the fact that she walked into visible range before doing it sort of gave away the entirety of the gank, let Tempest be composed, land a huge ultimate, and Kraken was sitting there waiting.
Yeah, that definitely, again, the coordination just not there right now for We So Fresh here on the Hellborn team, and it's showing big time for Supreme Squad. 5,000 golden experience lead. You got a brute strength Hammerstorm. He is pushing this bottom lane right now. Steam boots on him, and this tower is gonna fall. Can it be denied? That was the question. Empath wall coming out. She's gonna go. Nice deny right there from Pain 5237. Numbers right there. I wonder if there's a phone number or something at the end of it. Anyways, gonna deny the tower, so that was well played at least right there. Magnus in the meantime roaming up here, but Hammerstorm hiding. However, the Legion team as a whole coming in. Magnus realizing quickly that he's gonna need to be the one that needs to be careful as he starts falling back. So at least a little bit of a positive there for the Hellborn side with the deny, but the tower is still dead in the end. So that is the downside. I believe I just saw Lex Talionis just purchased, by the way, by Kraken.
Yeah, I don't agree with that
bit.
Pick up at all. I understand why they might go with the minus armor with the Gush, and that just provides a lot of... He hits really, really, really hard with that splash ability, but I'd rather, if you're going to go for early pickup here, see him tank up with something like that earlier Helm. Hell, even go for the Parasite if you want more damage, especially in a snowball game like this.
Well, he is going to be going for that Lex. I think it is level 2, like I said. Let's check real quick. Oh, it's level 3, actually. So the full Lex Talionis, of course, the new item introduced in 3.1. And right into tournament rules, it went. Empath is going to be picked off right there. The Vulture Lord and Minotaur army coming up from affiliate. Magnus also getting chain stun as well. The Elementals here from Tempest. And Magnus just falls into the ground. I hate saying it, but it is shaping up to be a 15-minute victory here. For Supreme Squad, unless some crazy dirt around and disconnect on the Legion side, basically. So it's but okay. So now that we're at that point, though, let's go back to Solstice real quick. It seems like you're fairly familiar with Solstice. Obviously new to competitive play, but at least in the public scene. You mentioned how you would like to see him. So it seems like he's more of an aggressive jungler by nature if he jungles?
Yeah, honestly, I like to play him more like I actually play my Cthulhu jungle, where I play him more aggressively, or how I like to play something like a Parasite, where you're just being active on the map. His stun is incredible early game. They nerfed his jungling presence, but meanwhile, Breaky, we're going to hold that thought. It looks like the Caster's Curse has come into play here.
Oh, level 11 Kraken, the charge hits the tree right there. Solstice trying to run away. It's not going to happen, though. The arrow also coming out from Valkyrie. Not going to connect, though. So, yeah, sure enough, we talk about him. To the window, ends up dying, but yeah, it seems like he does have potential. So you're talking about his stun, in this case, with the dark form, of course, called the Shadow Dash here. Very powerful early on tool in terms of setting up ganks, but we just didn't see the activity from... Oh, Valkyrie leaps into Magnus right there, gets them both stunned from Hammerstorm. Release Kraken comes out. Valkyrie's in a lot of trouble. She uses a prism. Not going to be enough, though. Magnus did eventually get away, it looks like, able to avoid the energy field and everything else, but again, it just seems like the snowball is just continuing right now, and I don't even know if Mint even thinks themselves they have a chance to come back. It might just be a mindset of 15 minutes. Let's just move on, because it is an ugly, ugly game right now in favor of the Legion side here. You do see the B-Star, by the way, picked up by Kraken, so possible that could be the Elder Parasite that we were talking about. Or the Helm, of course, but definitely like to see the new Elder Parasite here coming out for him. All right, so with that said as well, with the Solstice, night form, day form, do you think either one is better for setting up those ganks?
Night form definitely has a higher damage potential. When you're looking at a secondary initiate, something like, say, Magnus ultimately gets that portal key, and you're sitting in the woods charging up your, well, I call it the Kamehameha, but the Lunar Judgment from Solstice, that giant damage AoE stun, it is a lot better at nighttime. Yeah. For more routine, standard teamfight stun, sure, that daytime works, but in general, nighttime is a little bit more crafted. I do prefer it.
Solstice trying to finish off Engineer right there. Not even, it's a big damage ultimate coming out right there. Solstice and Mukui locked down. They're both going to fall. Looks like Magnus does stun in. Eruption is on cooldown for him, though. He's going to now start falling back. Valkyrie leaps in, though. Nice job with the Judgment right there. Call the Valkyrie, actually. Getting one kill, but now Valkyrie being locked down. Kraken charges in. However, now is falling back. Ophelia also finding herself in kind of an awkward spot right here. Magnus thinking about maybe stunning him, but he is just by himself currently, so don't know if that would be the best decision, as he is going to eventually fall back, it looks like. So a little bit of fight there shown by Mint at the top lane. I will say, you know, Magnus unfortunately very stuttered right there big time. I mean, he stunned in. It was setting up to be a beautiful eruption. He waited a good 2 or 3 seconds, though, before he finally started channeling it. And by the time he did, the Legion team had enough time to actually get away right there. So, yeah, just not the best execution yet again, unfortunately, coming out here from We So Fresh. It's now 14 minutes into this game. We're already looking at a 13,000 gold lead and an 8,500 experience lead. So, again, this is a best out of 3, but this is also a single elimination format of this event right now from the round of 128 to the first round, really, of the DreamHack qualifiers. And right now, Supreme Squad at least looking like they're going to be taking game 1 here. Again, pending some.
Yeah, they can't really do much to turn things around. The Rift Shard's Elder Parasite, straight up damage here on Hammerstorm. He's making a statement that he feels really confident that his team is ready to take over this game. Obviously, with the 13k gold advantage, it's like, even if at this point Moon Queen's level 7, man, she literally has no farm to speak of. She doesn't have her snowball farm item, so it's not going to explode randomly from here on out. If she chooses to use her ulti in a team fight, you have all the Ophelia mediums. You have an Astrolabe coming out here in a second for her. You have the heal on top of it. So it's going to be totally, totally useless. Everyone else is underfarmed and suffering. They literally can't make anything happen.
Yeah. Kraken right there, he actually just drops Soul Stealth. He didn't use either his Elder or his Lex until the very end right there. He uses Elder, so I'm just curious about that. But he does eventually get it off, and now he's going to be able to use his Lex right here. In this team fight, it looks like if he wants to. Empath's going to be locked down. The torque goes on a Valkyrie right there. Valkyrie is going to be able to get away, but Empath already falling, of course. So right now, we do have Mint just completely in retreat mode. Magnus, Valkyrie, and Moon Queen kind of just going to stand at the tower here and look to hold their ground against the inevitable push that's going to be coming out from Supreme Squad. It looks like Tempest is having his own good time here at the bottom lane in the meantime. Going to go ahead and clean that up. So you did see the message right there from Kroos. I know the matchmaking has also been having some issues. It looks like the chat server is being restarted, though, to fix those issues. And as soon as it comes back up, hopefully it should be good to go. Anyways, bottom tower goes down right there. The gold just getting really, really large now. 16.6 thousand gold lead. I mean, you see the coin up here on top of the experience bar as well. It is nearly all the way to the right. It's rare to see that, especially this early on in the game. So all the credit definitely going to Supreme Squad at the same time. It just really goes back to, though, for Mint. I mean, you just would like to see that or either early lane adjustment or just not laning how they did initially. But again, experience, man. Hopefully they themselves either go back and watch this cast or, you know, look back at the replay themselves and, you know, kind of keep that in mind moving on. That's all you could really do in the end, you know, to gain that experience. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm taking a look at the Solstice here, man. Like, at this point, if he doesn't have, like, a decent early game, if he's able to make those ganks happen, he doesn't farm the fastest in the woods compared to the other power junglers. He's actually out-leveling the Ophelia here, who has chosen to be a little bit more active with their team and pushes, and he's been more passive farming. But in general, he farms pretty slow in the jungle now, especially at the start. So if you're not making those early ganks happen, if you're not having a sound early game, it does seem like you completely suffer. Without any items to speak of, it's a lot harder than, say, you know, Ophelia, which can sit back in a team fight, use her minions, use that heal, you know, to cover your team. Yeah. A lot from there. So at this point, he is a liability in that role.
Yeah. You see the level 1 Rift Shard still on Hammerstorm, looking to level those up though, I'm sure. Kraken, oh man, is he also going for Rift Shards? He does pick up the broadsword here. Be pretty fun if we see a couple of Rift Shard Elder Parasites coming out here for the Legion team. A lot of damage output potential, no doubt there. They're going to push this top tower. Obviously, the last remaining tower here, you just see Hammerstorm with the Elder Parasite, the brute strength activated, hitting so hard and so fast. And Mania will get credit for the tower kill even. So the gold per minute chart, I mean, really explains everything else if it wasn't pretty obvious already. Valkyrie's doing her best, man. Definitely keep them in this game. She does just push the Firebrand right there. Tempest blinked in. Not able to catch Valkyrie, though, so going to be fine for now. Mint showing some fight, though. I mean, they aren't giving up, that's for sure. I mean, they do have very strong late-game potential with that Moon Queen, the Valkyrie. Would believe even Solstice could definitely be up there, so. But obviously, there's a lot that comes into play when it comes to that.
Yeah,
so.
you can't discount this Hammerstorm Kraken. They have to actually get to those heroes as well. And with the Engineer ulti, with the Kraken Whirlpool, with the Ophelia mains to deal with and punch through. I don't feel like their late game honestly even matters. Yeah. They're just going to completely snowball and overrun. So trying to hold this off, I understand what they're trying to do here. You might as well try it out. There's always a chance for the enemy to make a mistake, but they could make probably about 3 or 4 mistakes here and still have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Catastrophic mistakes where they get wiped.
Yeah, and also let's go back. I just hit it from the beginning in this early round, around 128. You know, casting teams that never really get the chance. I'm sure that may be a little bit of it too. You know, they're on Honcast. They got thousands of viewers watching, and you know they want to soak it up for all it's worth.
I'm not saying they should hit the concede button or anything yet. Just always give it a shot.
Oh, the big Tempest ultimate coming right there. Nice arrow from Valkyrie to stop it eventually, but it doesn't matter. In comes the Kraken ultimate, and the Hellborn team just falling to pieces. Valkyrie falling in the background. Moon Queen just sitting back there, throwing out her beams. The GG well played is being called, and there is the vote to concede. So Mint has finally had enough, so stop it, man. It is just too powerful.
I'm not sure if you saw that. The Gush plus the level 3 Lex Talionis onto the Moon Queen did the splash. I got over half of her health in one go, man. That was, disgusting.
Big game. Big game right there for the Legion team. So Supreme Squad. Obviously looking very strong. Again, they played it very nicely, so they do deserve a lot of credit, obviously, when it comes down to it as well, for their victory right there, and I'm sure they're happy with it. It is a best out of 3, so, definitely looking forward to that game number 2. But, again, I don't think there's even breaking down the game. It really just goes back to the laning phase, man. I mean, that's just...
It goes back to the draft, which, as we said, favored Legion side in the first place. They could have made it work if they skewed it in their phase with the laning phase. Snowball advantage, got the snowball going on the Tempest, got the Moon Queen going. But that being said, they didn't set it up in their favor. The draft was stronger, and then also just the teamwork and the coordination for Supreme Squad seemed like it was on another level compared to Mint. Yeah. You saw that Solstice and Magnus stacking their stuns in middle. Yeah. The Valkyrie and Solstice trying to pair together in that top lane. It was okay, but I feel like they're feeling a little bit under the pressure. They're not talking enough as a team. They're not doing what it takes to set this up, so hopefully going into Game 2 we might see another face of them. For now, I got to give Supreme Squad just the extreme favorites in this matchup. Not even taking the game, just the results into account, just about how it played out more so. It showed like it was more of a fundamental difference.
True, very true. So again, we'll have to wait and see though. We are going to take a short break here as always, but we will have game number 2 going to be coming up here shortly. Supreme Squad taking on We Are Fresh, or We So Fresh, sorry. We So Fresh, Mint is their tag. Anyways, Supreme Squad up 1-0. Stay tuned. We will have game number 2 coming up shortly here.